True. Thank you. I call this meeting to order. I am Spring Worth, alternate director of the Metro Board of Directors and the WMATA Budget and Policy Program Manager at the District Department of Transportation. With me tonight is Jennifer Ellison, Metro's Board Corporate Secretary, and Yasmin Dumi, Project Manager at Metro's Office of Real Estate and Development, who will be giving tonight's presentation. Deborah Crane from the Office of Planning, the PM for the Nanny Helen Burroughs Corridor Small Area Plan, is also present at this meeting in the rear. Juan Holmes, and we also have ANC Commissioner Anthony Green. This hearing is convened by the Metro Board of Directors to gather public comments on proposed changes to the Deanwood Metro Station located in Washington, D.C. This is our agenda today. We will begin with some background information, then move to the protocol for commenting. We will then hear public comments and discuss next steps. The general plans and environmental evaluation for these changes are available online at wmata.com/plans and projects. 2 copies are also available in the hallway at the registration table. Notice of this hearing was made by publication in the Washington Post, and ads were placed in El Tiempo, Washington Hispanic, and Washington Informer. The hearing notice was also sent to all local governments and other organizations within the compact zone, as well as posted at wmata.com. There are 2 ways to provide comments at this evening's hearing: in person or over the phone. If you're with us in person and would like to provide testimony, please see the staff at the registration table if you have not already put your name on the list of speakers. And those of you participating via phone, if you'd like to provide testimony, please press *5. This will let us know to call on you when it's your turn to speak. Until then, please mute yourself by pressing *6. When it's your turn to speak, you can press *6 again. Public officials will be allowed 5 minutes to provide comments, and everyone else will be allowed 3 minutes each. Extra time will be given for translation if needed. If you have copies of your testimony to distribute in person, please hand them to staff at the registration table. I'd also like to note that tonight's hearing is being broadcast live via YouTube on the Metro Forward YouTube channel and will be archived there as a presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Worth. The purpose of the hearing is to obtain public input on the following changes to the facilities at the Deanwood Metro Station: elimination of the 194-space surface park and ride facility to enable joint development and grow ridership, and there are no changes proposed to the bus or kiss and ride facilities. Before discussing the changes further, let me give you some context or background on how we got to this meeting today. The Deanwood Station opened in 1978. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, Deanwood had an average of 1,350 weekday Metro Rail entries, which is the 5th lowest ridership of Metro's 91 stations. As of April 2023, approximately 575 rail customers a day use the Deanwood Station, reflecting approximately a 43% recovery rate of ridership post-pandemic. In January 2018, the Metro Board authorized the issuance of a joint development solicitation for redevelopment of the Deanwood Surface Park and Ride lot, with the goal of increasing ridership at the station and supporting the District of Columbia's land use, housing, and economic development goals. Joint development is a federal transit administration term for when residential or commercial uses are developed on transit agency-owned property with a design that is closely coordinated with transit facilities. In June 2018, Metro held a public hearing on the proposed changes to enable joint development. At that public hearing, and in the received public comments from 2018, there was overwhelming support for the removal and redevelopment of the Deanwood Park and Ride lot due to its low level of utilization. At the time, it was less than 71 parking customers per day pre-pandemic, and the existence of other nearby park and ride facilities at the Cheverly and Minnesota Avenue metro stations. In September 2018, the Metro Board then approved the removal and redevelopment of the park and ride lot and accepted the amendment to the mass transit plan. However, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and related real estate market conditions, Metro did not move forward with closing the park and ride lot in 2018, nor did Metro issue a joint development solicitation for the site. In the meantime, the DC Public Library has proposed a new, larger, full-service library facility to be included at the Deanwood Metro Station as part of a future joint development project, leading Metro to advance these past efforts. However, given the length of time since the Metro Board approved these past actions, Metro wants to repeat the public hearing process to ensure that community members can provide their latest feedback on the proposed changes to the transit facilities. On the next few slides, we'll cover the proposed changes to the transit facilities, covering aspect and access, as well as provide a summary of key points from our environmental evaluation. At the Deanwood Metro Station, the proposed changes include closing the surface park and ride lot and removing the 194 park and ride spaces from our mass transit plan without replacement. These actions will enable joint development of the site and help to grow Metro's ridership. It's important to note that Metro currently does not have a developer for the project. However, we anticipate releasing a solicitation to select a developer within the next year, who will then lead the design and delivery of a mixed-use real estate project on the parking lot site, including all coordination with the district government and community. Metro believes that these changes to the park and ride facility are reasonable since there are alternative park and ride facilities nearby at Cheverly and Minnesota Avenue metro stations, which are one stop in either direction from the Deanwood Metro, and they have excess parking capacity. As of 2023, there are only 20 average daily park and ride customers that would be impacted by this change. Based on analysis of Deanwood parking customer origin and household location data, these two other park and ride options add fewer than 5 minutes of travel time for Deanwood customers to use the other two station options. This information is presented in the environmental evaluation report that Metro posted to its website prior to this compact hearing. It is also located at the back of the room. Regarding the bus or kiss and ride facilities, there are no proposed changes. These facilities will remain as is, including the accessible kiss and ride spaces. Finally, as part of the compact public hearing, staff has prepared an environmental evaluation for the project to assess any potential impacts and to identify opportunities to minimize or mitigate them. This analysis identifies whether there are impacts to transportation, stormwater, open space, air quality, noise, and other community or environmental features that directly result from Metro's proposed changes to the transit facilities only. In this case, the removal of parking spaces, and not the anticipated future development of the site. The District of Columbia will lead that evaluation process when the future selected developer submits application for review by the district's entitlements and buildings approval process. Regarding transportation, approximately 194 park and ride spaces will be removed, and customers seeking parking will be encouraged to use Cheverly or Minnesota Avenue Metro park and ride facilities. It is anticipated that traffic on Minnesota Avenue Northeast and feeder streets to the Deanwood Metro Station would likely decrease because fewer vehicles will be going to the station. For more information on the available system parking capacity, please refer to the environmental evaluation on the Deanwood webpage. During construction, an interim operations plan, sometimes called a maintenance of traffic plan, will be established to ensure access for all travel modes to the Deanwood Metro Station. It will ensure access is always provided throughout the project. Metro parking customers will be redirected to Cheverly or Minnesota Avenue Metro park and ride facilities. Then, regarding air quality, noise, and stormwater, there are also no permanent impacts anticipated as a result of the transit facility changes. However, there may be some minor temporary impacts during construction of the future joint development project, like dust, equipment noise, or sediment and erosion. These will be mitigated following typical construction mitigation techniques and following the District of Columbia's requirements for construction operations. This concludes my presentation. I'll turn the floor back over to Ms. Worth to go over the procedures for tonight's hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Dumey. Briefly, I will cover the procedures that we will follow during the hearing. As noted earlier, we are accepting comments two ways at this hearing, in person and over the phone. For those of you here in person, you can start making your way towards the podium once your name is called. However, if you need a microphone brought to you, please wave your hand when your name is called so we can see you and we'll bring one to you. And those of you participating via telephone, press *5 if you want to provide comments. When it's your turn to speak, we'll announce the last 4 digits of your phone number. Until you are called on, please mute yourself by pressing *6. When it's your turn to speak, you can press *6 again to unmute. Public officials will be allowed 5 minutes to provide comments, and everyone else will be allowed 3 minutes each. Extra time will be given for translation if needed. We have a timer that will count down how much time you have left to speak. It will give you a warning beep when you have 20 seconds left and will beep continuously when your time is up. The timer is important because we want to make sure everyone has equal time to provide their comments. We ask that you stay within your allotted time to ensure that we can hear from everyone who wants to provide testimony. In addition to the opportunity to speak at this evening's hearing, Metro also welcomes further comment on the proposed changes. There are 2 ways to provide comment: online and by mail. Comments must be received by 5 p.m. on Friday, July 21st, 2023. Online comments can be submitted through the Deanwood project page, which can be found at wamata.com/plans and projects. Once there, you may type comments and upload letters or other documents. You can mail comments to Office of the Secretary, Sect 2E, WMATA, Post Office Box 44390, Washington, D.C. 20026-4390. Please reference Deanwood Public Hearing in the subject line. Comments must be received, not postmarked, by July 21st, 2023, in order to be included in the hearing record. Your comments will become part of the public record that will be reviewed by the Metro Board of Directors. Changes to what was presented here tonight may be proposed in response to testimony received and subsequent staff analysis. I will note that this public hearing process is unable to address any comments outside the scope of this docket. Those include comments on size, mix, or design of buildings or future joint development projects, land use matters, service complaints, and fares. Please note that profanity will not be tolerated during this public meeting. For those of you participating online, I would also ask that for those of you providing testimony that may be watching the hearing on another device, please make sure that the device is muted when you're giving testimony to avoid feedback. I want to take a moment to recognize this is where we listen to you. This is your opportunity to comment on the proposal, and we are here to listen, so we won't be able to answer questions during your testimony. Before you begin your remarks, please state your name, and the organization you represent, if any. Please note that all statements, including any personal information such as name, email address, or telephone number you provide in the statement, are releasable to the public upon request and may be posted on Metro's website without change, including any personal information provided. The public comment period will close on July 21st, 2023. Staff anticipates releasing the draft report to the Metro website in the fall. Once the staff report is released to the public, those of you who provided comments will have the opportunity to review the report to ensure that we captured your comments accurately. That review and comment period will close 2 weeks after the draft staff report is posted. Staff anticipates that the final staff report will be submitted to the Board of Directors for acceptance at the end of this calendar year. Now that we have all of the background out of the way, it's time to call the first witness. All right, so the first, I'm going to read the first name. The first person up is Antoine Holmes, ANC Commissioner, and following him will be Anthony Green, the ANC Commissioner.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Antoine Holmes. I am the ANC Single Member District Commissioner for ANC 7C, in which the Deanwood Metro Station parking lot resides, and I'm also the chair of ANC 7C. I appreciate the Metro coming back here again so we can have a discussion about the parking lots. As one of the few who participated in their first discussion about what should be done to Deanwood Metro Station back at the 2012 hearing, the folks, our residents stated very clearly that we wanted to be able to address the food issue at that time. So we had already said we wanted a grocery store, and we had that on record at the meeting when we had it at the Deanwood at the Deanwood Recreation Center. Upon having the 2018 meeting, again, very good partnership between WMATA and Deanwood Deanwood Citizens Association, as well as ANC 7C. Again, we reiterated that we wanted to continue to talk about the issues of food deserts in Ward 7, and we'd like to have a grocery store at that site. In addition, we also, with working with UDC, wanted to be able to address educational outcomes and educational equity east of the river. So being able to partner with them to have that be a site for the community college that is currently laid downtown would have been another way we want to see that type of development on said site. And along since that time as well, we've also been working with the council, as well as we have the Friends of Deanwood Library working with DCPL to be able to make sure that the Deanwood Library be made whole and be a full service library, and no better site of the community for that project. And we hope with that, being able to do that project would help to speed up the timeline to move forward on that. Ultimately, what has been said at a lot of community meetings, whether it be the Deanwood Citizens Association or ANC 7C, is that we have worked very hard with the city to do a lot of affordable housing projects, and we really have had a lack of amenities to go along with any and all of those projects. This is an opportunity to finally have a diversity in economic development in the greater Deanwood community. So again, we would try, we would press that we would love to see economic development, such as the Deanwood Library there as a government anchor site, as well as a grocery store, and then commercial. And again, for us, what we would want to see is educational. What we want to see is educational equity, and so UDC on that site would definitely be a great, another great tenant at that location. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next up, we have Commissioner Green.
Thank you for having me. My name is Anthony Lorenzo Green. I'm Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner for Sigmund District 7C04. Residents who live along Sheriff Road or a block connected to Sheriff Road. I'm also the Vice Chair of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 7C. I'm here to testify in support of the proposed change for the park and ride lot. I was here 5 years ago. And testified, one of the few that testified a few years ago about this. And one of the things I'll bring up today is a lot of the community members did not appreciate some of the silence that has happened since then. Yes, we had to go through COVID. We went through it with everybody else. But as commissioners, we have to answer to the community who are constantly raising questions. What is the future? Where are we in this process? What is DC government's role to play in this? And how we can improve communication with the community. Because the more we practice that in everything we do, we know that when we get to the final plans of what it will look like, there won't be any big issues about people not being fully aware of what's coming and what the community collectively decided should be at that site. I'm fully in support of the DC Public Library having a full service library at this site, proposing to have one, and I hope this is one that is in full agreement with Metro, and when they select a developer that this is a priority in the RFP process to make this a priority. We don't have a full service library here if you want to tell it. You know, we don't share a lot of the amenities at this library that other libraries across the city have. We don't even have meeting rooms in the library. That is available for people in our community to get access to for free. So I'm very hopeful that that is, I'll say, an idea, a proposed part of the plan. And I hope that that is something that we don't talk about today, and then we get a year or two down the road and like, oh, well, we couldn't do it. I think we need to set today that it is a big priority for us. I know a few years ago we did bring up housing at the site. And there was talk about more affordable housing being included as part of the plan, along with a grocery store, along with UDC actually setting an anchor on this side of town, in the far northeast part of the town, where we know a lot of our community members could get better access to educational opportunities. And that's the type of educational opportunity that I would like to see at that site as part of an anchor, so that we can ensure that affordable housing is part of the mix. I know affordable housing gets a lot of people, I'll just put it like this, a lot of people like to use that as a way to tear down projects, but what's called affordable is not really affordable for a lot of people. And we have to be clear about that. The line continues to increase of what's considered affordable. As we do all these development projects across the city, especially hearing about what's coming downtown, we're reducing the number of affordable units downtown. We're even getting rid of TOPA rights for people who will want to move downtown. We got to make sure that we still maintain bastions of affordability over here in Northeast. So that's what I wanted to contribute today. I know that this is just the first step to make that change, and the next step is who you pick as a developer and DC government's part in ensuring that they're working with our community. But I want to make sure that Deanwood comes first in how we selecting development projects, how we are picking people to work on these projects. We have to be a priority. We have a lot of people in our community who can do the work, who have the skills, and we have to make sure that they are connected. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next up, we'll have Deborah Crane Kemp, followed by Tina Byram.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Crane Kemp, and I would like to say good evening to the WMATA representatives here, as well as to the Deanwood community. I am the project manager for the the Nanny Helen Burroughs Corridor Small Area Plan, and that is with the DC Office of Planning. We had a kickoff for this particular plan in April, so I'm here this evening to share some information, which I do have handouts in the back of the room, some information about the Small Area Plan, clarifying the boundaries of that plan, but also to shed some light on a previous study that was done for the greater Deanwood community that included the Deanwood Metro Station. Some of the recommendations from that study, which was completed in 2008, recommended that the potential is there at the Metro Station for commercial or mixed-use development, and also that having development would put eyes on the street in this particular community, and that would be of a great benefit. Also, at that point in time, the Small Area Plan for 2008 recommended a new Deanwood Recreation Center, and we see now that we have a beautiful recreation center. And since that time, we, the Office of Planning, has been in contact and extended communication with DC Public Libraries to, as the community has recommended, have a library co-located on that development site. So I'm just basically here this evening to share a little history on the planning efforts that have taken place there, and also to support mixed-use development on that site, which would include a public library facility, a full-service library. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your comment. Next up, we'll have Tina Byron, followed by Javier Sanchez.
Good evening. Oh God, that's terrible. Good evening. I want to say I appreciate the fact that you want to do some changes and improve the community. I just want you to consider the people who actually live here and the impact that those changes may bring, including parking, trash, the services that we as a community pay for, that we don't receive necessarily as consistently as other areas of the city. And that's really what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Javier Sanchez, followed by Dr. Thien van Nugen. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Hello, my name is Javier Sanchez, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Deanwood Citizens Association. I'm the vice chairman of the Economic Development Committee. In collaboration with the Friends of Deanwood Library, we want to express our community's priorities for the proposal at the Deanwood Metro Station. First and foremost, we believe that a future development at the site, to be successful, all stakeholders involved should incorporate equitable development planning principles where we ensure the future project is a driver for inclusive development and must be community-driven, enhance transparency, and a collaboration for mutual benefit. Priorities should be a guide for the development. Support the advocacy and vision of the Friends of Deanwood Library and other community members in the construction of a new service library on the site. We want to emphasize the importance of a medium-scale grocery store within the development for access for fresh and healthy food options. And in addition to a grocery store, we strongly advocate for a mixed-use retail development that attracts visitors to our neighborhood. Housing. Regarding this priority, we are very early in the process, but if housing will be included, we encourage you on this project to prioritize measures that ensure individuals and families of varying income levels can continue to call Deanwood their home and a future home. In supporting small and local businesses, in the past, the DCA has negotiated community benefits agreements with developers to mitigate concerns and potential issues associated with the project. And within these agreements, developers commit to sourcing and hiring local Deanwood and/or Ward 7 contractors. And this would be a great opportunity for WMATA to support these small local businesses that would benefit by winning contracts and subcontracting opportunities for this project. Community engagement and transparency. To achieve these priorities, we emphasize the importance of community engagement and transparency throughout the planning and implementation process. Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to share the priorities for Deanwood. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next up, we have Dr. Thean Van Nugent, followed by Max Richmond.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tin Vinh Nguyen, and I'm the president of the Friends of Deanwood Library and a Deanwood resident. I've been living here since 2016. I'm here to talk about 3 things today. The first is about the magic of public libraries. The second is about the inequality of libraries in Washington, D.C. And the third is how this development can fix this library inequality problem and be a transformative development. Libraries are magical and joyous places. They're one of the few places where you don't have to spend money. In DC, there are even no library fees. In addition to being able to check out books, patrons can check out tools, they can access the maker spaces. There are also places with free community programming and workshops. Kids can learn how to build dioramas. Adults can learn how to file taxes. They serve as places for knowledge and convening spots for community meetings. Yet, not all neighborhoods in DC have equal access to libraries and library resources. Our current library here in Deanwood is a 1-room, 7,000 square foot space located inside the Deanwood Recreation Center. Since it's a co-located library, we've run into issues of maintenance and finding the right agency when there are building needs. Our first library here in the neighborhood was a kiosk. Meanwhile, in other parts of DC, there are much larger and fancier libraries. I'm really, really pleased that through community advocacy and support from DC Public Library and DC Council that we have $24 million in the budget to build a full-service library in the neighborhood. Our group has engaged with the community in terms of where we want it to be located and what we like to see in this library. There's overwhelming support for this space at the Deanwood Metro parking lot. Have included a sustainably built full-service library with ground floor footprint, state-of-the-art technology, dinosaur books, meeting rooms, a room for the Friends group, an art gallery, and a cafe, to name a few. There's no shortage of a vision for this library. So what am I urging you to do right now? We want this project to be expedited. We don't want to wait any longer for a full-service library. The site will be ideal, like I mentioned. It would have foot traffic. It would be located near a number of schools. So on behalf of the Friends of Deanwood Library, we fully support the development of this project, one that we believe will be transformative and would include a magical full-service library. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Max Richmond, followed by Valerie Lehman.
Hello. Thank you for engaging the community today. My testimony will be almost identical to my testimony at the last compact hearing in 2018. My name is Max Richmond. I'm a Deanwood resident, and I strongly support development of the Deanwood Metro parking lot. WMATA's 10-year plan, this will be new, I didn't talk about this because that just came out last year, calls for prioritizing equity. The Deanwood community is an underserved community, as you've heard from many of the other speakers, so it's vital that this development bring necessary development to the community. Please follow through on that WMATA plan to prioritize equity and the expedient development of this site. We want to ensure that The work also contracts local Deanwood contractors, hires local Deanwood labor to really maximize the local economic development as much as possible. To increase ridership, which we know is a critical WMATA goal, it's really important that this site have a lot of commercial and serve as a commercial anchor. The comprehensive plan calls for this area to be a commercial center, and that parking lot is the crown jewel for that opportunity. Commercial tenants could include DC Public Library. As you hear, there's a lot of support for that. The University of District of Columbia, or other commercial entities like a grocery store. Deanwood used to have dozens of grocery stores. There's a book called Black Food Geographies that talks about all the grocery stores that used to be here. Today there are 0. So there is a real need for this development to be for health and economic development in the community. As you heard from Dr. Nguyen, the community has already successfully advocated for $24 million, a down payment for that library. It's already funded. It's already in the bank. The District of Columbia, they're just waiting to cut a check. So let's make sure this moves expediently, and let's make sure this moves quickly, so that, because none of us, WMATA included, can afford to wait another 5 years for those funds to land. Please continue to engage the community. Thank you for coming today. Continue to work closely with the community, whether this goes through a PUD process so the ANC has weight. If it does not, please find other ways to bring the community into this process, because we really can help this project be successful and help WMATA maximize revenue and ridership. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next up, we have Valerie Lehman.
Good evening. My name is Valerie, and I am a citizen of the Deanwood neighborhood. I've lived here about 3 years, and I am here simply to register my support. I think that the uses for the parking lot that have been discussed by the other speakers today, grocery store, library, housing, UDC campus, any of those would be better uses than the parking lot that is not used so much today. So I am here to register my support as a Deanwood citizen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone present in the room who wishes to provide testimony? If so, please approach the mic or raise your hand and we'll bring the mic to you. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else on the phone who wishes to provide testimony tonight? No? Okay. As a reminder, accepting written testimony until 5 p.m. on Friday, July 21st, 2023. Testimony can be submitted online at wmata.com/plans and projects, all one word. Then navigate to the Deanwood project page. Testimony can also be sent via U.S. mail to Office of the Secretary, WMATA, SECT, S-E-C-T, 2E, P.O. Box 44390, Washington, D.C., 20026-4390. All mailed testimony must be received, not postmarked, by 5 p.m. on Friday, July 21st, 2023. As a reminder, a video recording of this hearing will be posted on YouTube at youtube.com/MetroForward if you'd like to view it to help with developing written testimony, which again must be received by Metro by 5 p.m. on July 21st. Thank you again for participating in this evening's hearing. Have a good evening.